Congratulations on a terrific film, and something I think the world needs to see. It is so deep and so elegant in its conversation. I think I want to start with Paul and
Hmm.
just ask I know the idea is based on a real story, a true story, but how did you get involved with it?
Sure. First of all, thanks so much for having us, Tony, and giving us this platform. It means a lot to us. The film is inspired by a bunch of different things. My own personal experiences with friends, close friends, loved ones who are afflicted by mental illness. Also, yes, inspired by a kind of a true story I had heard about while I was a student at the American Film Institute, which sort of happened 6 years ago that I drew facts from. And then just generally, again, like we talked about in our last interview, just being an immigrant in America, which Lydia and Alan and pretty much everyone on our cast and crew, to some degree, we have a lot of Taiwanese Americans, our producers Taiwanese, our first AD was Swiss, just across the board. So there's definitely something about the band of people we've put together that all kind of had that same heartbeat of seeing America in different ways, and all these ideas just coalesced to become Paper Tiger. So in a nutshell, that's kind of the genesis.
Alan, you did such a great job as Edward. How did you prepare for this role?
I took some movement classes to get physicality intact. Um, there's a bit in the movie where he uh, thinks he's turning into a bird through kind of like a schizoaffective symptom. I kind of wanted to just work from that, like going into rehearsals and then just, listening and reacting to Lydia and Elaine and Seth and John and all the other castmates. Really, it's a kind of, and it never changes for me. Like it feels very stressful and nerve wracking before a shoot, but then you like show up on set and and the scene partners are just there. It's just like, oh, like you just it felt very natural, organic, just playing off of everybody.
Lydia, tell me about Lily.
Lily is actually drawn from two real people in my life, a composite of two real people that I know. So Lily, I wanted to bring a real level of truth to Lily when I was playing her. And I knew from reading that marvelous script that Paul wrote that any kind of acting would not fly in this movie. And all of it had to be completely 100% true. So I started by building a composite of a character. And it was based on two people that I know in my real life.
And the chemistry that you had with well, just with everybody that you dealt with, was that from the beginning? Because I know in this day and age where we're in this pandemic, you don't normally get together and have chemistry tests and things like that. So was it a family from the get-go?
I would say we were lucky enough to have maybe 2 weeks prior. Before we started principal photography, Ellen and I met 2 weeks prior to that, and I really latched onto that 2 weeks. I really wanted a relationship with him that felt real before we started shooting, because I didn't want any of that acting or trying to get to do that on the first day of camera. It's never going to work. So I took opportunity of that too, because this was before COVID. So we had 2 weeks, and in that 2 weeks I invited him over to my house and we got to know each other, and we started that building of that relationship prior already to principal photography, and I think that helped a lot for me.
Sorry, I was just going to say, you mentioned the word chemistry, and in our chemistry reads, it's interesting because when Lydia was coming in to read, she actually read first for May, the tertiary character, the best friend of Lily. And she was doing it, she was very clever, and I don't know if this is accurate, but she was doing it almost like in the style of Lily, as if she wanted the other role, I felt. So I was like, yeah, let's bring her back for that role. And then we brought Alan in, and then it just clicked, So we did have the benefit of doing this pre-pandemic and being in the flesh, which is something that, tapes can't often replicate. So it was organic and it just felt right. And we're blessed to be able to, have done that before COVID shut everything down.
Alan, that it's got to be a blessing to take on a role like this as an actor because of the multi levels that you go through.
Thank you for acknowledging that, man. As a child of an immigrant, my parents, especially being a child of like an Asian immigrant, both my parents the idea of kind of hiding or stigmatizing mental health in a family dynamic. I know I'm not like some special case. I know it's very common, and to be able to even have dialogue and text and scenes where I can even explore that. Yeah, I felt very lucky to play with that and even like represent that on screen, you know, because mental health, I mean, especially I can speak for my community, you know, the Asian American community is incredibly stigmatized, you know. I'm in therapy Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. I went into therapy after Paper Tiger, you know, and I've been in it ever since, and I love it, you know. So it's like, yeah, I was very blessed to have that opportunity.
I think it makes my job easier. You know, an old adage of directing is 90% of it is casting, right? So even in this interview, when Alan speaks, I get so calm. I feel like he's so sensitive, and Lydia's so sharp and so witty. And it's like, these are the characters. I don't have to do a lot.
Yeah, I want to hear him read the phone book. It's just a very
I know. It's
great
like
voice.
lulling me. I love it.
In our final moments, I'm going to give Lydia the last word. What do you think audiences are going to pull from watching Paper Tiger?
Wow, I think they're going to get a punch in the gut. You know, I think it's an issue that's always been in the back of their mind, and these are the uncomfortable issues that we don't want to talk about or even bring up, you know. And I think they're going to get a real punch in the gut, and they're going to go, whoa. And that's what I hope the film is going to bring, because we need to talk about these things, and I think that's a good one. So yeah.
Before I go, Paul, I just want to compliment you too on the score. It is a breathtaking score.
Thank you so much. That's my colleague Lukas Lechowski. I'm Polish originally. He's my Polish brother from another mother. He's a classically trained violinist, and he worked on my AFI thesis film, and we've been friends ever since. So he'll appreciate that shout out. Thank you so much.
It is so great to talk to you. I wish it could be longer, but our time is limited, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful morning. And I just want to let you know that this is a life-changing film, and it needs to be really seen on a proper screen.
Thank you,
so
Tony.
sweet. Thank you, Tony.
Appreciate you, Tony. Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.